Welcome again to the Old Principal. I am the Old Principal, and we're going to study English. And in today's story, it's actually a story from my life, and it's called Winter Activities. This is lesson number 155, Winter Activities in Oregon. But before we get into explanations, we do need to listen to the story. So stay by as the story is read to you.
155 Winter Activities in Oregon. In Oregon, during the winter, it rained more often than it snowed. Generally, our climate was mild. But several times during winter, we had cold spells with the temperature plunging below freezing. If conditions were right, it might even snow, but the snow never lasted more than a few days. As the crow flies, Witham Hill was just 2 blocks from our home. It was a small, grassy hill, but during times of snow, boys and girls flocked to that hill in droves. We walked to the top of the hill and then slid down on sleds. One time, it snowed so much that the police closed down the road close to our house. Children persistently used the hill for sliding, so the police bowed to their wishes, and the roadway became a playground for a day. Actually, the roads were steep, and the cars couldn't climb them, so the police shut off the road. It was dangerous for cars to climb the hill while children were playing in the road. During that day, people who lived there had to walk up the hill. Making snowmen was one of the most popular snow activities. The snow was quite wet in Oregon, so it was easy to roll the snow into different sized balls. 3 snowballs stacked one upon the other was a good start. And then we added a creative touch with sticks for arms, rocks for eyes and mouth, and maybe a carrot for the nose. And one of Dad's old hats topped him off. The boys loved to have snowball fights. Snowball fights were also popular at school during recess times or at noon break. Our home had a slippery aluminum shingled roof. I always looked forward to the sudden cascade of snow that from time to time slid off the roof. And woe be to the person who passed by at just that moment.
Well, there you have it. Winter activities in Oregon. Now, let's begin. In Oregon, Oregon is 美国西北方的 Oregon 州. Okay, 西北. So because it's north, it has north weather patterns. So it's not so good during the winter. During the winter, it rained more than it snowed. So there's more rain. And we talked some while ago that we often joke about it being a good place for ducks. This is weather for ducks because ducks, 鸭子喜欢下雨. Okay, it rained more than it snowed, but we did get some snow. 还是会下雪 but 比较少. Okay, it rained more than it snowed. Generally, our climate was mild. When I say mild, 温和, it doesn't mean it's warm. Not warm, because it was still quite cold. If you use centigrade, 这个摄氏 maybe usually 5 degrees to 10 degrees. Very cold and rainy. But sometimes it did snow. Sometimes it did get cold. Going on. But several times during the winter, we had cold spells. Now, a cold spell is 一段时间. A spell, in this case, is 一段时间, usually 短短的那几天呢. And during these cold spells, it got very, very cold. In fact, the temperature plunging below freezing. Okay, now, what does it mean to plunge? To plunge. Sometimes we say we plunge into the water. We jump into the water. So, to jump, 跳在水里. But when the temperature, 这个温度, plunges below freezing, then it means that suddenly it jumps down. It falls down below freezing. 这个零下. Going on. If conditions were right, again, the condition 情况刚刚好, it might even snow. Of course, we were always happy with snow. 下雪使我们孩子们好高兴. But the snow never lasted more than a few days. Okay, 不会持续太久. Okay, it lasted never, 不会超过几天啊. It never lasted very long. That's too bad. Some places farther north, obviously, it stays around a long time. There's snow a long, long, long time. But for where we lived, the snow came and then it went, and then it came and then it went. Okay. Now, going on. As the crow flies, Witham Hill was just 2 blocks from our home. Okay, now, as the crow flies is a saying in English. A crow is a black bird, 是一种黑色的鸟，有一点像乌鸦。乌鸦 is a little bit bigger. A crow is a little bit smaller, but it's a black bird, okay? As the crow flies. Do you know how a crow flies? A crow flies straight. Okay? So now, if it says as the crow flies, that means from my house straight to, in this case, Witham Hill, it is 2 blocks. Now, 2条街. So it wasn't very far. Okay. But you couldn't go straight. 必须顺着路. So you had to go by the roads a little bit. Okay. And Witham Hill was, when I was young, that is, Witham Hill was a hill with no houses on it. No houses. In later years, my father even built a house on Witham Hill. But to start with, no, there were no houses there. And it was a great place because, going on, it was a small grassy hill, okay? So it had grass on the hill. It was not farmland, so people weren't farming. 不是农地啊. Okay, but during times of snow, boys and girls flock to the hill in droves. Haha. Okay, you got a lot of new words here. So let's take a look at this. Okay, during times of snow, 下雪的时候 boys and girls, 小男小女 that was me, okay, flocked to the hill in droves. Of course, we know what the hill is. The name of the hill was called Witham Hill. There must have been an important person by the name of Witham. Okay, it's called Witham Hill. But they flocked to the hill in droves. Now, flocked and droves have almost the same meaning. Okay, if we say a flock of birds, 一群鸟, okay, then we're talking about many birds. Sometimes we use the word flocked as a verb, 是一个动词. So that means many people went somewhere. To flock to someplace means many people went to the hill. Many boys and girls went to the hill. What? In droves. Again, many. Droves means many. And often these two words are used together, but not always. Droves means many. It's not a common word. We walked to the top of the hill, 走到这个小山顶上. We walked to the top of the hill and then slid down the hill. Okay, 我们就滑下去. Okay, going on. One time it snowed so much that the police closed down the road close to our house. Now this is interesting. This is the trouble with English. You notice this. It says we closed down, okay, 封路, okay, closed down the road, 封路. That means that they couldn't go on it. Close, but this time 靠近, closed and close, 完全不一样的字，意思就完全不一样。Closed down the road close to our house. Going on. Children persistently used the hill for sledding, so the police bowed to their wishes, and the roadway became a playground for the day. Okay, when it says children persistently used the hill for sledding, okay, that means that the children persistently, that means they always wanted to use the hill. They didn't want to stop. Even though the police and parents said don't do it, they still did it anyway. Okay, so they persistently used the hill for sledding. 用这个雪橇这个滑下去. Now this was a car road. This is not the hill. This is not Witham Hill. This is a car road. So not too safe. But it says the police bowed to their wishes. That means that the police 按照小孩子们的意愿, 小孩子的意愿, so it says bow to, 低头, but in this case it just means 就听他们的话, 愿意按照他们的意愿就封路. Okay, and the roadway became a playground for the day. 那一天，他就那座小山呢，这个斜坡呢，就变成一个娱乐场 ，a playground 娱乐场 for a day going on. Okay, actually the roads were steep and the cars couldn't climb up them, so the police shut off the road. 那事实上 ，okay, 事实上 the roads were steep. Those roads were quite 相当陡 steep 陡 and the cars couldn't climb 没办法爬上去太滑 okay and so the police shut off the road 就关闭 or 封路 and so the children got to play there. Trust me, I'm not sure. I don't think that happened more than maybe 1 or 2 times in my childhood. So not very many times for sure. Going on, it was dangerous for cars to climb up the hill while the children were playing on the road. Of course, it was very dangerous for the cars and the children to be on the hill, on the road at the same time. They're on the road at the same time. So they say the cars could not go up the hill. Go ahead. During that day, people who lived there had to walk up to the hill. Of course, the people who lived on the hill had to walk down the hill and walk up the hill. The children, of course, loved it. I don't think that the parents loved it so much. Go ahead. Making snowmen was one of the most popular snow activities. Okay? Making snowmen was one of the most popular snow activities. The snow was quite wet in Oregon, so it was easy to roll the snow into different sized balls. Okay, making snowmen. Do you know you have snow, 雪, and then you roll the snow up into a ball, okay? So then you make these 2 or 3 balls stacked on top of each other, and then what? Then you put, I don't know what you do. Put a carrot in his nose, 用这个红萝卜做他的鼻子。雪人, a snowman, and maybe 2 rocks for eyes, 2个小石头作为他的眼睛。So you see, the children love to make the snowman. Okay, making snowman was one of the most popular snow activities. The snow was quite wet in Oregon. 在 Oregon 州这个雪是比较湿一点。容易 what? Roll the snow 滚为球. In other words, you take a little bit, put it together, and then you start to roll it. Roll, and it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. And then when you're done rolling it, then maybe you get a smaller one, and you get 2 or 3 children to help you, and you pick it up and put it on top and to make the snowman. Go ahead. 3 snowballs stacked on one another was a good start. Okay, so you had 3 snowballs, and then you stack them 1 on top of the other, and on top of the other. Okay? And so this is how you start to make the snowman. Go ahead. Then we added a creative touch with sticks for arms. 用棍子来做他的什么？他的手臂。Okay? 棍子。Sticks. When we added the creative, when I say creative touch here, I mean creative touch meaning 这个有一点创意精神啊 creative touch. Sticks for arms, rocks for eyes, already said that, and maybe a carrot, 这个红萝卜做它的鼻子 for a nose. One of Dad's old hats topped him off. That's interesting. One of Dad's 我爸爸的这个老帽子 we put on top. Okay, what does it mean to top something off? Actually, to top something off in English has several different meanings. In this case, top off has several meanings. But here it means that we put it on top of his head, on top of his head. Top off also means 我们做完了，做完，已经成功了，做成，做完。So, topped off, sometimes when you're filling a glass of water, and it said, if I say, oh, top it off, that means fill it up. So, topped has very many meanings. Go ahead. The boys love to have snowball fights. You know what a snowball fight is? 这个雪战. Okay. 雪战, so we made little tiny snowballs, very small, and then we would throw them at our enemy, actually our friends. Okay. These are snowball fights. Of course, when you roll this up in your hands, what happens? Your hands get very, very cold. Okay, the boys love to have snowball fights. The girls didn't. Okay. Snowball fights were popular at school. Yes. In fact, when we went to school, and it was time to rest, the boys and the girls went out and they had two teams and they threw snowballs at each other. 丢那个雪球啊 Okay. During recess times. What is a recess time? Every morning, at least once, you got to rest for 10 or 15 minutes. 所以可以休息 Okay. Or at noon break, of course, lunchtime. Lunchtime was a good time to play. First you had to eat, and then you go out and play and have snowball fights or make snowmen sometimes. Many different things going on. Our home had a slippery aluminum roofed shingled roof. Okay. Our slippery aluminum shingled roof. Okay. 这个房顶 okay, was made out of 这个瓦是铝做的. Well, guess what happened? When the snow came down, okay, it 对在这个房顶上. But interestingly enough, it was made out of metal. So 突然间, the suddenly cascaded off the roof. 突然间, it all came down very fast to cascade off means to fall down very fast, to fall down very fast. So the snow fell off the roof very fast from time to time and slid off the roof. So it 从那个房顶这个滑下来。Go ahead. And woe be to the person who passed by at just that minute. Okay. So woe be to the person. 如果你刚好是经过那个地方的时候，你经过那个地方的时候呢，而这个雪就这个开始下来的时候，你就倒霉。Actually, woe be to 这个他就是倒霉啊。Okay, well, I hope you've enjoyed winter activities in Oregon. Oh, I have many stories that I could tell about life during winter. Now, remember, our houses were very warm. So we would play outside for a while, and then we would come back inside and get warm because we were all cold. And then that's how we enjoyed ourselves. Now, we finished our lesson, but the last thing I always do is to tell you that you could write an email to us. Email address is theoldprinciple@gmail.com， 或者我们的网站是 www.theoldprinciple.org. You can actually look and see some of a lot, in fact, all of our old programs. Enjoyed being with you this day, and I hope that you will join us next time, perhaps with a friend. Bye-bye for now.